Hi, my name is Adriel William, and today's video is going to be a bit different from the usual topics that I talk about or the content I make. I had a couple of people asking me this in the past, and recently a few people asked me, and I thought about making a video on this. And the topic is that what attire or what clothing should you be wearing during an interview? And I wanted to make this video so there are people watching this who want to utilize some of my suggestions, and if it's helpful for them, uh, it would be, I would say, a big honor to help them. And when I'm making these videos, in my head I'm thinking I'm making a video for a younger self of mine. If I was looking at my self 3 years or 4 years or 5 years back, and what advice I would be giving to myself. So when I'm making this video, that's the thought I have in my head. So I hope you perceive it in a positive manner. But before I continue with the video, I would like to request you kindly do hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. That's I would say that really tells me how my videos are being perceived, and it gives me a really good feedback and a motivation to make more content. So do hit the like button and subscribe. And I will also try to talk about pocket squares. Since I started the YouTube, I had a numerous amount of feedback regarding my pocket squares that I wear. And there's a reason to why I wear them, and I will try to share them. So if it helps somebody in presenting themselves in a more effective manner, more power to you. But continuing with the interview attires. So just as a perspective from color themes, most of the experts, professional, and individuals that I've talked to or researched, they usually support that the best colors for interview is sticking to black or gray. For your coat, suits, jacket, sticking to black or gray color is the best. And along with that, the universally best color of shirt is white. So sticking to white shirt in men and women is usually the safest way. You want to stick to base ground things. Going too fancy or too loud can actually be negative for your interview, or could create a, I usually use the word noise. They can create noise and could create a sense of judgment regarding you. And you want to be very subtle during those interviews. Even wearing cufflinks or any hairpin that's very shiny or standing out, you want to be careful that you don't want to do that, because people create judgment about you, and sometimes they could be good, and on the other hand they could be not so good. So you have to be careful about that. Secondly, when it comes to men wearing tie, that's something up to you. If you feel much more confident in presenting yourself with a tie, then go ahead with it. If you feel you don't feel much comfortable, the weather is not so great, and that's something you don't want to do, well, you don't have to. That's totally up to you. And I will try to talk about the virtual meetings and in person, what things you should be considering in both of them, and what are the differences. One other thing I would strongly suggest, if you're wearing a tie or anything other than that, make sure it's not very shiny, it's not standing out, it's not very bright. And this is something I learned from bankers actually. Most of the professionals that I met, and not just in one country but throughout the world, if you see bankers, I usually laugh, they spend more money on their suits, ties, and cuffling than they earn, because that's the need of their profession. And one thing I learned from them is that if you're going to an interview, wearing anything very bright could actually be negative in your presentation. So make sure you stick to subtle things and subtle patterns. Now, coming to the virtual side, when you're in a virtual meeting, I think one of the most important thing is your lighting. Lighting makes a lot of impact, because nobody could actually see your whole clothing and cannot see what color exactly it is if there is not proper lighting. Second thing you want to make sure, if you're sitting in front of the camera or you're doing a virtual interview, do not try to wear patrons, because they can create virtual noise too. If you're wearing small square patrons during in the screen, they might not appear as that. They might be appearing noisy and doesn't make a clear picture or image. So you can try this, experiment this, and see it for yourself. Solid color or solid pattern are far better than wearing anything with check, squares, or pattern in a virtual interview. It's not highly recommended. Second thing, when you come in person, I believe people, I don't believe in wearing very expensive brand and all that thing. I think one of the most important thing is you should be comfortable in what you wear. And I want to share this point. This is very important. Since we are talking in a Western perspective and I'm sitting in a Western country and we are talking about schools in US, wearing suits and tie is the most appropriate manner to present yourself. But that doesn't mean that there are not elegant and sophisticated dresses and clothing in other cultures. So my point is that I'm not trying to say one clothing from one culture is better than other, because there are some really elegant and sophisticated dresses throughout the world from different cultures. So that point being said, when it comes to in-person meeting, you always want to wear something which you're comfortable in. Do not end up wearing something which is very tight or you're not going to be comfortable, making sure you're considering the weather, because in US the weather could be extreme cold or extreme hot depending where you are. So make sure whatever you're wearing, you feel yourself. And I want to talk about this topic. There's something called external authority and there's something called internal authority. This is a concept I read a couple of years ago. People like to wear expensive watches, expensive clothing, brand lines and shoes and everything, and try to show them off. And it's very easy to see that they are faking it. And I would like to give you an example of a Bollywood movie called Three Idiots, where there's a guy who's an engineer working in the US and he's really show off about his suit and watch. That's a person who's coming from an external authority. If you want to see people who are really confident in their life and who have a really strong presence, you will see that they have a combination of internal authority and external authority. And what do I mean by internal authority? By internal authority, I mean people who are well aware of their existence and they are not ashamed of their existence. And I'm giving you an example of two leaders from the subcontinents. There was Gandhi and there was Jinnah. One was wearing sherwani and Gandhi was wearing a whole different level of dressing. But both of them were considered to be very strong leaders of their time. And that's something which comes from experience and understanding yourself. Know thyself. Once you figure out who you are and you've gone through experiences, regardless of what you wear, you respect yourself. And that's what I mean by internal authority. And people who can merge internal and external authorities are very strong personalities. They are really good leaders, and they don't rely on their fancy cars and fancy suits. They come from I would say their knowledge and their confidence come from their experiences. So keeping that aside, one other thing that you always want to make sure is that you feel confident, and your shoulders and your posture make a lot of difference. Whether you're a woman or a man, you need to know that when you stand, and if you're standing straight, regardless of what you're wearing, your head is straight, that creates a strong impact in any communication. So wear always, for your interview, wear something that keeps you comfortable, that makes you confident, and you can be in your best posture. Posture makes the huge difference whether you're wearing a t-shirt or a suit. If you know how to stand straight and talk in a confident manner, that could make a lot of impact. Beside this, there's far more detail, but I don't want to go into it. But coming to the topic of the pocket square, I learned this from a guy called Guy Ritchie. He's a screenwriter, director in Hollywood, and I piggybacked on his idea, and it made a lot of sense. He said that when men wear suits or jacket, it feels like they are wearing a suit, right? But when you put a pocket square on top of it, that means you own your jacket, you own your dressing. It's just like if you see a cake, that's a simple cake, but as soon as you put a small candle on it, it becomes a birthday cake. So sometimes there are very small things that could change the significance of the whole package. That small thing can actually tell, it actually beautifies the whole presentation of it. And he explained it in a very good manner. You can Google Guy Ritchie. And for me, when I learned about this, it actually helped me own my dressing and my presence and my presentation. So it's a very small thing. And why I'm sharing this is because you could utilize this in a different manner. Be creative. There could be something else, a tie pin, it could be a hairpin, regardless, it could be a jewelry that you like. If you feel you could own it and you can wear it on top of your formal clothing, I think that could really make you stand out in your confidence. So that would be my suggestion. And beside this, I know there's a lot of more information on YouTube. If you have any comment or you want to share your suggestion, do share it in the comment box, and I would love to read that. And I hope you find this video beneficial. And so hopefully we'll see you soon in a more meaningful video. Take care.